All right. Happy Father's Day, everybody. Welcome to the weekly live stream that we do, well, every weekly close for Bitcoin. We've been doing this now for quite some time. Appreciate all you guys continuing to tune in. And kind of a little whiplash week here with the stuff going on everywhere and all that stuff. But I would still say that these ranges are still intact. Yeah, our daily super trend is short here on the daily. We're holding above 105 and change. I'd like to see us get back above 106.5. That's a pretty critical level. Our weekly close here for Bitcoin, a kind of a doji candle, not the best candle. But you can see the long wick and the long wicks down. So just a lot of this looks like a consolidation, actually, really. It just looks like a consolidation up here to me. Now, we had this pin bar last week. We attempted a rally and failed. We're just stuck in this range. I will note, I think I noted it last week, was that the weekly momentum here is we're starting to lose weekly momentum. Okay. This isn't of a concern until we start closing weeklies below the 80 line. All right. That is the only thing I will say. The 2-week time frame ticked up, looks good. The 3-week time frame giving us a bullish cross. So the 2-week and the 3-week are going to continue to push the weekly momentum up. So we got buying pressure on the high time frames here, not selling pressure. Okay. And the monthly time frame isn't reset just yet, but the 2-week and the 3-week are going to be able to push this monthly up. We got about 15 more days here before we get any sort of maybe cross up on that monthly, if we even do get a cross up yet. Yeah, we're going to look at Tether. All right. Tether dominance here. Weekly candle. We did close another green weekly candle, but if you look carefully, we actually made a lower high wick than our previous wick. Yeah, I mean, this is just methodically going up. This doesn't look super powerful right now. We're close to a MACD cross, but it's possible that it doesn't end up crossing and it ends up getting rejected, okay? So that is something that we're monitoring here. On the daily time frame, I will note this. On that move down we got earlier this week, this was a long wick. Okay, that is a rejection candle. And if you notice, we have yet to make closures above this wick high. So to me, it actually looks like it's going to, I mean, it can still try to get up here. It can still try to do that, okay? But it's likely that it will fail because this candle right here is actually a reversal candle. If we get the follow through. So it's always all about the follow through, right? If I saw a coin that had a candle like this, I would stay away from it until I got a full reset back to support and wait for that momentum to shift back up. Okay. So to me, it looks like there's a possibility, or I should say a probability, that Tether could come back down, right? Because our 12-hour here is already in the overbought territory. Tether is technically still in a downtrend. So when you start to get rejections like this, we even got a 12-hour today, another rejection. Again, it's kind of like indecision right now. Like, hey, do we want to take this up? Do we want to smack this down some more? We're in this range, okay? We want to start to see 12-hour candles below 4.75% for upside in these markets. But here you go. Our 12-hour print is printing a 12-hour red Heiken Shi candle, these usually are pretty good for determining mathematical movements to the downside, in this case, to the downside. Okay. So yeah, we'll see if we get follow through on that. We're obviously paying attention to this. It is always of a concern. And you can also see the 12-hour here is starting to point down on the RSI as well. This is a lower time frame, but this is going to give you a clue as to how that daily and those 2 days are going to start to form and take action. So to me, that long wick the other day that we got was a pretty good sign that we're going to see some upside in the market. Okay. It's all about the follow through, guys. Remember, we can chop around here. It can try to rally again if there's some more negative news or shenanigans going on elsewhere. I don't really like talking about any of that stuff, but all that stuff scares markets, and markets don't like uncertainty. So if there's more uncertainty in the market, this will be impacted for sure. Okay. I am going to remain bullish on the market. There's no reason not to be. Bitcoin over the 50-week moving average, sitting up there above 100K. I would say until we take out 100K with a high time frame candle close, there's no double top that people are talking about. That's really it. Everything looks fine right now. ETH BTC, like just kind of grinding up here. You can see that's just another higher low. Again, with this range that you're in a nice range. You can kind of see higher lows forming here, taking form. It looks like maybe some sort of ascending triangle formation. Your super trend's long. You haven't had a 12-hour consistent super trend long in a very long time on ETH Bitcoin. So to me, that's a telltale sign of maybe a trend reversal. Okay. And we all know about this monthly chart. This monthly chart down here is very, very oversold on the monthly, right? You got monthly stochastic RSI bullish divergence. That is no joke. When you get that those are usually bottoms, just like you had here. You had the low and the second low, and then you were gone. The low, the second low, and probably that. Okay. So that takes months. This is a monthly chart. This is the best time to be rolling your Bitcoin into Ethereum from a probability standpoint. Okay. Not financial advice, but that's what this chart is alluding to. And even if that move just ends up being a move to this trend line right here, that's you being able to double up your Bitcoin again just by holding Ethereum. So that's a huge trade. Okay. Yeah, that's basically it. I don't really see any real technical damage done to these charts right now. Some of these meme coins are blasting off on Solana right now. That's usually a good sign for risk on, right? Futures just opened up 1%. That's a pretty big move. If the market was really scared, I don't think we'd be ripping like that. We would be probably dumping, crashing, all of the above. So, yeah, that's it. Let's see how we open the week. All right. In terms of the technicals, I think technicals are fine. Yeah, man, I'm gonna tell it like it is. If I thought it looked like shit, I'd tell you it looked like shit. I just don't see it looking like shit. It looks good. It looks like it wants to move higher. Looks like it wants to move higher. It's going to take time. It's not just going to happen right away, unfortunately. But I think this cycle has just been a really slow, methodical movement, mostly movements up for Bitcoin. It's just grinding up in this channel. This is an institutional driven cycle. This is not retail pushing Bitcoin up at this point. Like your 2017 cycle was like obviously the most technically sound cycle we've seen. This is pretty good though. This is pretty slow and methodical. It's very boring, which deters a lot of retail to even get in. So yeah. Yeah, I mean, if you look at like the 3-day chart, we did put in a 3-day bearish engulfing with a wick, but we're holding this range. So, we could just consolidate here. We're range bound right now between, 100K, 101K, and this candle body up here at 109.8. So that's your range right now on Bitcoin. That's a good question, man. Okay, yeah, the 3-day, I will say there is a bit of bearish divergence on the 3-day time frame right here that you need to be aware of. Okay. But your 3-day stochastic is almost reset. Your 2 days oversold, your daily is also your daily is going to come down. It looks like we're just going to sideways up here maybe for a bit, consolidate up here. And you know what? If Bitcoin consolidates, the alts have a chance to rally, okay? If Tether's going to come down, that means the alts have a chance to rally. And that is something that is a possibility. We do have a Fed meeting coming up this week. There is some more information and news coming out about the Stablecoin Act, which really points a lot of direction to Ethereum. Well, we just pointed out and been pointing out that ETH Bitcoin looks bottomed out. I would, in terms of risk to reward, I would probably be buying ETH over Bitcoin here, personally. Although it hasn't changed trend or, whatever, it's just very low risk in terms of the ratio. That's all. You got an asset that's up at all-time highs and you got an asset that's nowhere near its all-time highs. It just makes sense to be buying an asset that's got at least a double up in price before its all-time high versus you're buying an asset that's already in, or not in price discovery right this moment, but I mean technically it is in price discovery since the last cycle, right? You're buying an asset that's in price discovery right now. So yeah, I would be buying ETH over Bitcoin just based off the ratio, but can't go wrong owning Bitcoin long term, period, end of story. It's proven time and time again. ETH has just been so disappointing. You could say that for every altcoin though, man. Look at AVAX, this thing's wrecked. Look at pretty much any altcoin has been disappointing. Okay, HBAR has done pretty well this run. Okay, yeah, HBAR looks good. Injective protocol made a massive rally, but this looks like it's going to come down more. KSM hasn't done anything. Litecoin just kind of sitting down here. Sol has been good. Yeah, Sol's been good. And Sol might continue to do well. XRP broke out of a 7-year pattern. Yep. You waited 7 years for that move, dude. Congrats. 7 years. Did nothing for 7 years. This actually looks like it's going to go down more, XRP. Look at the weekly. Looks like it's pointing down. I wouldn't touch XRP right now, right here, personally. So, yeah. I think it depends on when you got ETH, bro. Not really. So, like, if you bought it at the bottom of the bear market and you picked it up at around $1,000, you're still 2.5x. And if you've been in this market since 2017, well, you probably picked it up for like 40, 50 bucks. And you wouldn't be saying something like that. You know? Yeah, I don't know. Just depends on what you want out of this market. Yeah, we'll see. We do have like a little bit of divergencies on these charts, but the high time frames look good. Look good. Dude, most altcoins have not made new all-time highs. Even XRP didn't make a new all-time high. I don't believe. It tagged its previous all-time high. Didn't go into price discovery. No price discovery for XRP. If it did, it's barely on a wick, whatever, 340. I wouldn't say that that's a new all-time high or a pronounced all-time high. You've been better off trading meme coins or this, Ohm coin. This thing went on a major run, and it's wrecked right now. Not saying to buy this thing, but I'd watch for this thing to have some sort of reversal somewhere. Maybe not yet, but yeah, I'd pay attention to it. Maybe. There's plenty of opportunities and plenty of trade setups in this market. You just need to know what you're doing with it. That's all. All right. If you're just a buy and hold guy, I think Ethereum might be the play. And some of these smaller cap coins might be good. Some of these memes, some of these AI memes, AI16Z might be good. Retesting the range low here. This might give you a nice pop here soon. Maybe not yet, but soon. So Grift. This looks pretty good. Look what this is doing. Nice little wedge set up there at the bottom of the range. You can easily double your money on something like that if this goes. If you're really bullish on Solana, then you should really be looking at some of the low cap meme coins on Sol. Like for example, I traded this coin, or I just got into this coin right here. It's an AI coin or whatever, right? There's no trading volume. Yeah, I mean, I took a small risk on it because what's my downside here? This thing goes to zero. Well, it's basically already at zero. The upside here is insane on something like this, right? And I caught this Andy coin. I bought this like 3 days ago, and it broke out today. It did like a 5x move. Beautiful wedge right here off the range low, off the channel. And yeah, it wicked like 7x. I didn't catch the wick high top. I wasn't awake when that happened, but yeah, dude, like boom. I did 11x. You just have to find some assets that are setting up like that. Here, I'll give you another one that I'm in right now. It's called Bully. This chart is insane. Now, there's always the risk that it doesn't do anything, right? Like there's always a chance that it doesn't end up doing anything. It looks dead, right? But it did 263,000 in trading volume down here. And again, like you just manage your risk here. It's not really, it's just very low risk. Well, how do I know that this thing is going to make a move, right? Well, look at the chart. Here it is on TradingView. I got a 3-day momentum cross up, giving you basically a 3-day buy signal, like letting you know that momentum is shifting back up on a 3-day time frame. My wave trend here is clipping long, right? You can see the green dot coming in, clipping long. You got a pretty crazy squeeze going on here. And Solana looks like it maybe put a low in or something. It might try to rally off this low, right? Looks decent. Bullish engulfing candle. There's an ETF coming for Sol. You got daily bullish divergence here with a low and the same low on price. Okay. So like if Sol's going to perform, that means the assets on Sol are also going to probably perform. But that's when you also want to look at the ratio. Maybe you just want to buy Sol. For example, this bully coin versus Sol. What does it look like? It looks like it's flatlining down here. I mean, it looks like it's bottomed out versus Sol. That means there's a good chance that this can actually make a move against Solana. That's that looks like a wedge pattern to me. Okay, well, where's that going to go? I don't know. Let's just say it can get to the top of this range here. That's a 300% move against Sol. That means it might do like a 5-6x against dollars or more. Okay, so this is kind of the stuff I look at when trading these. These are obviously high risk, so you don't necessarily want to take a lot of risk because you don't really need to take a lot of risk. If they're going to give you a 5-10x move, you don't need to take a lot of risk on something like this because there's not a lot of liquidity. So like you want to take a lot more risk on assets that are more blue chip that have liquidity like ETH or Bitcoin, right? Because A, they're not as volatile, and B, like they're probably going to be here in the next year or two. You know, this asset may not be here in 6 months. Who knows? I don't know. This can get rug pulled, go to zero. Don't know. That's why you don't necessarily need to take a lot of risk on stuff like this. Okay. Here's another one. This is a super low cap, and I have no idea if this pattern is going to play out, but you can see it broke this wedge pattern. It's coming back down to test this range low, and your daily RSI is oversold. So this is the area where you would want to start buying this thing if you believed in what this project is or what it does. And so that's it. You have a stop loss in mind, which to me is anywhere below this range low, this 200,000 market cap or whatever. You got to give these like 30% stops, man. Like these things are volatile. Okay. Maybe even more, maybe up to 40% stops because you're looking at a 257% move. So you give a 40% stop and you're looking at a 257% move. That's almost a 5-to-1 risk to reward. That's worth it. That's worth it. Right. But ultimately, if this thing does end up resolving its whole pattern, that means it goes all the way back up to its all-time high. That's a 70x. This is all non-financial advice. Yes, this is all NFA. This is all just probability and me looking at a chart. This may not play out. None of this stuff may play out. Okay. This is a small cap coin. It's a $247,000 market cap coin. It's a nothing burger coin. Okay. So I personally don't take a lot of risk on this stuff because I don't know if they're going to be here today or tomorrow. They could rug pull, but it's got some chart history already. Usually if they're rug pulls, they just rug like within a week or within a few days. But if the asset's continuing to make higher lows, which to me, if this is the low here, this is 3 higher lows on the chart that I'm seeing potentially. Okay. And yeah, the volume is completely receded. That means either A, this coin is dead, it's not going to do anything, or B, a major move is coming. And I'm betting on a major move potentially coming because of where this RSI is and where it's at on the chart. Just a low risk area to take a trade. And we don't need to, hey man, moon boy stuff. No, we don't need to target the top of the wedge. But ultimately, if the technicals are respected, it could get back up to the top of the wedge. But for the short term, I would just be targeting the top of this range. And that's a 263% move. That's a huge move. You could almost triple your money on something like this if this plays out. And if it doesn't play out and it ends up taking out this low, what's the real damage here? You're looking at a 10% stop loss. You just move on with your life. You just cut it and move on with your life. I think that's like the name of the game in trading, guys. Like you need to come to the conclusion that you're not going to win every trade, and B, you want to put yourself in positions where the risk to reward is worth it. This is a huge risk, a huge reward potential here if this trade plays out. Even if it half plays out and goes to here, 70%. So you're risking losing 10 to win 75%. That's huge. All right. And there's plenty of these opportunities all over this market. You just have to find them. Here's another one, Citadel. It's a $1 million market cap coin. All right. All right. So you got a long-term channel here. It's very clear and respected. You're very close and or near this range low where you ended up making this move back up. And your daily here is crossing back up, and you got some crazy bullish divergence on the MACD. 3-day time frame is oversold on your stochastics here. No buy signal yet, but your daily is implying a move up. Right? Your daily giving you the signal. So if the daily is giving you the signal and it starts to move up, then in the next couple of days, the 3-day is going to give you a signal. And then what will happen is you'll probably end up breaking out of this channel and then back testing it and going into a potentially major run. So these are the opportunities that I'm seeing on these charts. All right. And again, none of these may play out. They may not. You just need to risk manage yourself. Here, you're very close to the range low. If you start taking out this $681,000 market cap, that's about a 30% move down. And so you cut the trade. This is a 30% move down potentially to cut. And from your swing high to your swing low, if this is a bull flag, which it looks like a bull flag, your first major fib target is 2 million. So that's a double up. All right, you can see a really large congestion area here, which is right around this 382 fib extension, which is roughly $3.5 million market cap, which is a 3.5x from here. Okay, so you're risking losing 40% on a trade that's going to give you a potential 3x. That's really great risk to reward. It's really great. All right. So this is again, this is, a couple trade setups here I just kind of gave you guys. Again, I don't know if they're going to play out. It doesn't matter if they play. I mean, it doesn't really matter if they end up playing out. It's just about identifying these opportunities and placing yourself in a number of them. And if we get a risk on environment, some of your trades are going to play out. And it's just a matter of how many of them you put yourself into that are low risk. If you keep putting yourself in low risk, high reward situations, you're going to end up winning a majority of the time, a big majority of the time. And that's all this game is. This is all a game of probability, guys. That's all this is. All right. I'm going to go ahead and stop talking about these coins because, again, I don't know what they do. It doesn't really matter. I'm just trading a chart and looking at patterns. That's all I do. I don't really care what these coins do. It doesn't really matter. This is a trader's market. People are just trading these assets. That's it. Yeah, we can look at Shibcoin too. Sorry, I didn't kind of reply to that. So Shibcoin. Well, you can kind of see this range low here that's still in this structure. It looks like a big pennant. It looks like a big pennant, multi-year pennant is what it looks like to me. Like 4 years of a pennant. That's pretty nuts, actually. So yeah, this looks low risk too. You're right at the bottom of the trend line. How's your 2-day looking on this? Okay. Your 2-day stochastic RSI is oversold. There's no real divergence being shown here for like maybe a reversal or something. But it might just grind here. Yeah, you can see the 12-hour. Looks like it's just grinding here. This could be an opportunity to take a position. It may not do anything for a while because there's no real divergence on the chart. There's no like momentum on it right this very moment. But there's a good chance that it can hold this range and go sideways until you get to, well, I would say until you get to the apex of this pennant, which is looks like sometime in November, December, where you'll get maybe that breakout that you're looking for. Okay, so you could be sitting on this coin for a while, but this move is a 10x move. So you sit on an asset here for 5-6 months that it gives you a 5 to 10x. That's great. I think there's better plays. We just discussed a few that have lots of upside but they're higher risk. Shibcoin is a lot larger market cap. It's got a lot more liquidity. You can take more risk on something like that because there is more liquidity. But yeah, I don't see a problem with owning Shibcoin here, as long as it ends up holding these range lows. You don't want to own Shib below here. You don't want to own Shib below this low here, which is about a 50% move down from here, right? 45% move down. You don't really want to own it below that because there's nothing below it. It's just straight down. Okay. And that's it. There's your Shib coin. IJ Money. Yeah. This pattern looks a lot like the XRP pattern that took this, but XRP took 7 years to break out. This won't take as long because it's not under scrutiny of the SEC because meme coins aren't securities. So there you go. All right. Is there any other assets you guys want to look at tonight? We've been live for about 35 minutes. We went through a number of different assets already. Lots of free trade setups given on this stream. Maybe you want to bookmark this one and go do your homework on some of those low cappers I just gave. I am in a couple of them myself personally. Yeah, I mean, look at the 4-hour on Shib. Shib actually looks like it might even make a move here soon. You see that coiling on the 4-hour RSI like that? That looks good. Shibcoin might actually make a move. But that move might just be to the top of the range. Okay, so you have what looks to be maybe some sort of channel, or I wouldn't say it's really a wedge, but it looks like a channel. So like, yeah, maybe it trades back up to 1293. You can make 8% potentially on this move. Okay, yeah, it looks good on the lower time frames. You got a nice squeeze here, very nice squeeze here, right? Yeah, you can trade that. What's up, Tin Top? I just think there's better risk to reward on some of these memes on Sol, like 8% versus a 200%, type of stuff. That's what I'm getting at. I think there's some opportunities here that shouldn't be ignored. Even this Chochki coin or whatever, I don't even know. This actually, I think this coin has a GitHub for quantum stuff. But I'm looking at market cap chart because sometimes you want to look at market cap chart on these coins. This looks like a massive falling wedge pattern. This is a 3-day time frame. You got a 3-day buy signal that's almost confirmed. This is probably days away from like actually breaking out. This could break out tomorrow. If we get a green day on Sol, forget it. This thing's going to run. Probably going to break out. You just got to pay attention to the volume. You see how the volume is really low here? There's a lot of compression going on the chart on this asset. Lots of compression going on it. All right. This looks really good, though. You're 3 days in the buy zone, 40 RSI. Weekly in the buy zone, right around that 46 region. Okay. I don't really, there's no... This one's more difficult to risk manage because there isn't really anything here. There's no real support. You just had this candle up and that was it. But you could take a trade like this and set your stop below, this range low here at 1.45 million. And that's playing it tight. And you know what? You got to play this particular one. You got to play tight because there is no other chart history to go by on something like this. All right. But yeah, this looks like it's on the brink of a breakout. Looks like it's about to do that. But I think there's other ones that look better personally. But yeah, you can see how it's just skating right below this major trend line right here. Like any day now, anything that triggers this thing to go isn't gonna take a lot of money to move this asset. It's only a $1.7 million market cap. It was almost $60 million market cap. So even if it does a 50% retracement from its swing low to swing high, you're talking about a pretty big move. Like you're talking about a pretty big move, like at least a 10x move potentially on something like this. It could easily go back up to, this range up here. Okay, 6x move, whatever. That's great. It's a great trade. And you got the GME meme on Sol. I don't know, dude. This has a lot more liquidity than those other ones. This thing looks pretty wrecked down here. This range low might, if it ends up getting back to that range low, I would probably be looking at this thing a little bit more intently. Right now, it looks like it's getting rejected here. You can see your momentum is still pointing down, right? Your weekly is pointing down. So this one is going to go lower. It's very clear that this one's going lower. So you wait for something like this. Wait for that weekly momentum to shift back down, and the 3-day momentum to shift back down. Your daily is probably already oversold. Okay, so it might bounce here or something, but ultimately it might continue rolling over because the higher time frame momentum is telling you more down. Okay, this one I probably won't touch unless it gets back down to this range low or close to this range low. All right, but yeah, you're locally at or close to this range low here from March. And you're sitting in this range here. This is probably also a decent range to trade. That's a 60% move. You could trade that range if you want. I'm not, but I'm just saying you could. Yeah, this is kind of what you got to look at, guys. You got to look at ranges. You got to look at probability. You got to look at your threshold for the risk to reward and where your stop loss is. Because you need to, a stop loss is there to stop your loss. Stop your loss. That's what it is. It's not a bad thing. It's a good thing. You preserve capital when you stop loss. If the trade doesn't go, you got to stop loss. That's it. All right. What's up, Bobby? This Opus coin's another one. This one, this is an AI coin, I think. So you had a range deviation and an attempted rally back into the structure. So far it hasn't actually broke back in. But so I won't touch this coin unless it does break back into this range, because this range was very well regarded for a long time, since February, and then it broke it. So that's not good. But everything is telling you that this is going to break back in. Look at your momentum. It's all pointing up. So maybe wait for this reset. Okay. Maybe it comes back down to like the 2.5 area here, and the 4 hour and the hourly start to reset. Maybe that's where you maybe want to take a position on something like this. And yeah, you just set your stop at 002, the all-time low on this asset. And that's it. This was a pretty big push. It attempted a push back in. Looks like it just got sold into. So yeah, paying attention to that stuff is pretty critical for your success at reading a chart or, making money off an asset. How's the weekly looking on this thing? Yeah, so your weekly momentum is still pointing down, but it's getting close to oversold and a potential reversal area. Okay, so yeah, this is your 3-day here is tick back up. Okay, so this to me is, I would say this is probably the bottom for this asset, or pretty darn close to it. Look at your 3-day MACD. This looks like a slingshot move coming here for this thing, right? That's some lower levels of negative momentum, but the lowest price the asset's ever seen versus the January momentum down here. It looks like a big, okay, we broke it down and then we're just going to rip it out type of move. That's what this looks like to me in the coming months. That's what this looks like this can do. Something like that with that momentum shift like that. Not financial advice, but this is kind of what I'm seeing. And I could be completely wrong. It may not do anything, this thing may not do anything. It may not perform at all. But, man, you're really close to a long-term trend line break here. And if you do break, you're probably going back up to the top of this range. That's more than a double up from here. All right. So there's plenty of opportunities. There's plenty of trade setups on the board. You just kind of got to pick and choose what you like and what makes sense on the chart, risk to reward wise. Guys, that's it. If you guys have any other assets you guys want me to look at, please throw them in the chat. We've been live for about 45 minutes and we got 6 people watching. So appreciate all you guys watching and tuning in. I hope this has been an informative stream here tonight. Giving you guys some live trades on streams and kind of what I look at before I take trades, or, kind of set up a trade for myself. And this is kind of what it's all about. It's a big waiting game, guys. This whole thing that we do here on this channel in this life is just all patience. If you don't have patience, you probably won't succeed in doing this. All right. All right. Stocks. I don't know. GameStop's pretty wrecked. Oof. Nasty candle the other day. GameStop. And that's probably why the GameStop meme probably continues lower, because this thing actually follows the actual stock. This is probably, if it gets to that range low, well, you can clearly see a range here, right? If this range low holds, then you can trade GameStop back up to $35. It's very simple. If ranges hold, there's likely a scenario where it goes back up to test back to the top of the range again. Assets most of the time do not break out. They consolidate. They go sideways. They test ranges. They ping pong between ranges until they break a range. That's what they do. This looks awful on the weekly chart, I got to say. This looks really bad. GameStop looks bad up here after this attempted breakout here and failed. Weekly looks bad. Monthly, I don't know. Yeah, I guess the monthly doesn't look the best. This could go either way, though, because it's kind of holding this neutral territory, bullish territory here on the monthly chart. You got no real squeeze, though, right? So to me, this doesn't look very attractive. There's no price compression buildup on this asset. I would not be looking to own GameStop personally until it actually breaks this channel. If it breaks the channel, I would say you could own GameStop. Until then, you can just watch it, monitor it, or trade the ranges until it breaks a direction. I know I have this plotted like this because it does look like a major bull flag. And yeah, that might play out. It just might take a longer time than I have plotted, because like your quarterly chart here is giving you a buy signal. That means longer term, like in the next 6 months to a year, this is probably going to be higher than where it is today. Okay. So yeah, but over the coming weeks, you could get some sort of dip down to like $17, which would be a higher low. And then you could get your break, because at that point, you probably reset your momentum to actually get the momentum to break out of there. It's all about momentum, guys. It's all about momentum on the chart. If there's no momentum on the chart, or the momentum is exhausted, the asset will not break out. It will get rejected somewhere and head back to support to regain momentum and regain buyers on the asset. That's it. If there's not enough momentum and there's not enough buying happening, you're not going to see number go up. You just won't. And that's it. All right. I think that about wraps up the stream for tonight. We've been live for about 48 minutes. We still got 5 people watching. Appreciate all you guys tuned in. Hopefully you guys learned something here and can spread the wealth and the knowledge elsewhere so we can get more viewership and impact more people to do the things that we do here at Swing Trade Pros. All right. Appreciate all you guys tuning in. We'll catch you guys next week. Hopefully we have a green week. We have some big news events coming. I don't typically like to rely on news events, but these markets at this point in time are going to be reliant on some news events for momentum shifts. Okay. All right, guys. Until next week. Trade safe, trade smart. I'm out.